So apologies in advance because this is obviously a very late podcast, but that's because it's for the Canadian Grand Prix, who were like the late version of America. Is that fair to say? No, sorry, they're the good version of America because they don't have riots at the moment.
Welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast. Now here's a bald guy and some Indian.
Anyway, how are you, man?
I'm good. Apologies from my side as well and yours. So one day it got delayed because of some issues with Jason. The other day I hurt my back, so I couldn't sit.
Yeah.
Kids, if
His
anyone
back's
is
just
watching,
so sore from holding up Lewis Hamilton.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just an advice for the kids: lay off the heavy weights when you're younger. It can do things to your back which are not nice.
But in fairness, the back medicine's good. So
yeah.
Anyway,
What's up?
I don't have the rundown, so you're gonna have
What the
to.
fuck are you talking about? Okay.
You sent
Yeah,
it to me. It's on my phone, which I'm using to record at the moment, and I forgot
Yeah.
about that. So yeah.
All right, no problem.
So you're gonna have to kick us off.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, the title battle is something that I was quite interested in because there was someone that made a comparison on Twitter actually that we are 9 races into the season and there has not been even a single. Yeah, there was one battle before the win in Australia, but other than that, there hasn't been any battle. There's hardly any friction. There's hardly any tension between the two. It's like, it's not fun. That's not how title battles are supposed to be, and I tend to concur because for me the bigger question is I'm not liking this kind of a title battle because for me it seems that they are not extracting the 100% or putting the 100% into it. They're leaving something on the table, and that bothers me a bit.
So you're saying that basically we haven't got any crashes and shouting, so you're very annoyed.
Yeah, they've not said Nico was never my friend or something like that. So
Yeah. Although
no
Max did say
detour
some
into
very
Mirabel.
angry things to GP. Does that not count?
Nah.
No.
Nah.
I think
That's
the
normal.
problem is, look, one, we're only 9 races in, and I think at the start of the season as well, we did kind of assume. I say we're only 9. We're like halfway through a season. What am I saying? But yeah,
1/3 of the season is done.
Yeah. So I guess at the start of the season, we assumed McLaren would just win. That didn't happen. Max was back in. Yeah, I guess it just hasn't been tense enough yet, has it? But then, you know what? I think it's going to make it tense for the next 3 or 4 races. A couple of things. Both of them are to do with Max Verstappen. One of them is that I think Max... I know he said like he's not in the title fight anymore. Like he kind of flippantly said that. But I think after a couple of weeks off, that'll weigh on him, knowing that, like, okay, if I want to stay in the title fight, I need to do it now in the next, like, 2-3 races, which will make him push harder. But then if he pushes too hard, he's got a race ban hanging over his head. Like, he's so close to a race ban. And then I also think that, like, Norris is probably going to come back now thinking, right, well, I think Norris was very focused on Max because of last year. And I wonder if now he'll come back in the lead up to the British Grand Prix thinking, oh, hold on. My actual only real competitor at the moment, because of the points gap and everything else, is Piastri. So I wonder, will that start to play between them? I don't know. I think things could change very quickly here, but you're right. It hasn't been the close kind of angry title fight I was expecting it to be so far. And I think that's just because Piastri is better than Verstappen. Obviously.
That could be one reason, right?
No, it's the only reason. Piastri is 10 times a better driver than Verstappen. I think that's obvious.
Yeah, there, we said it. Yeah. If you're offended, like the video.
If you're offended, please subscribe.
Yeah. For me, they're just too friendly. That's just... I could not expect a Lewis or an Alonso or a Max or a Vettel or any of the F1 legends to actually have this kind of an attitude when you're in a title battle. It's too cozy, it's too comfortable, and I the ruthlessness is missing. That's just my point. Because maybe Oscar is someone who is playing it, the way they put it, that he's being very friendly with Lando, but continuing to be very ruthless when he needs to be. But I don't know if it has dawned on them yet that this is probably their only chance to win a title. It could be, because next season
like
things
we don't
change
know.
and we have no idea what happens. Look at Felipe Massa, only got one shot at winning a title. Things can change very quickly, and
he won it,
it's
but
I mean, he's the real 2008 F1 world champion, in case you didn't know. And I just the urgency is missing, and I don't know, it's maybe because neither of them have the stature in Formula One that others would. I don't know. It's a bit disappointing. I would like to see a few more things between the two.
I just wonder, like, the thing for me is, right, so Max obviously is the one that you would expect to be in there mingling, which he was for a while, and Max has kind of been the highlights of, annoying the two of them at various races.
Yeah.
And, the car did seem to have some more pace in Barcelona a little bit, but the McLaren was just on rails there, so, I guess we'll see over the next few races. But when it comes to Oscar versus Lando, I think it's just a different situation, because Lando clearly has very much had the opinion, or changed his mentality a little bit this season, where he doesn't seem to be, I don't know if he's just like, he does feel very much like he's just kind of given up on the title. Like, I don't know if that could be a good thing. Like, maybe he has come back with the situation of like, I'm just going to try do my best and we'll see where it goes. Honestly, for someone like Lando, that might actually be a better way to go, because as soon as he tries to focus on the title, everything goes wrong. And then I think Oscar as well is just also like, Oscar just doesn't seem to care. He just kind of puts in what he can do that weekend, and that's it. It's very much the Max mentality from like 23, 22, where it was like, I just show up and we see what we can do this weekend.
Yeah, but you won every race. That was the only difference, right?
And Oscar's winning every race now, so it's fine.
Yeah, he's won 5 of them. Yeah, there are 5 wins for Oscar, 2 for Lando.
Frankly,
2
this
for
Piastri
Max.
dominance is getting boring.
It is. It is. Honestly, it is. The thing is, it's too friendly. You need. Yeah, I don't know. For me,
It's just
that's
the problem is that, like, clearly that McLaren is actually slower than the Red Bull. It's just that, like I said, Oscar is a better driver than Verstappen. So
yeah, and Lando too, because he's also ahead in the championship. There's only 10 points between
that's
the two.
the FIA helping out the British, obviously.
Yeah, and that's also the case. When do you think we'll see a few flashpoints soon? Maybe British Grand Prix?
Definitely, yeah. For a couple of reasons. One, I do think Lando is slowly getting to grasp with the car. Like, even just watching him in Spain, and like, I know he was off the pace, but he does seem to be kind of getting on top of the car. The issues that he had at the start of the season do seem to be calming down. So I think he'll pace-wise start getting a bit closer to Piastri. I think the thing is as well, like, we could see that flare up. The other thing is, I do think that we'll get Max now go on an all or nothing championship bid. And I think that Oscar won't let him, like, unlike Lando, like, Verstappen will not be able to bully Oscar. Frankly, because I don't think Oscar gives a shit. I don't think it's like, you can't get in Oscar's head, because I think Oscar's head when he's driving is just like, there is no like panic whatsoever. So if Verstappen like tries to like smash into Oscar, I know Oscar's radio will just be, oh, that was interesting. So the mental games just won't work. So
Yeah, but
I think we
Oscar
will see the
risk it?
two of them. Huh? No. But
I mean,
that's
Oscar
where
is still Oscar is
but
still
that's where we'll
look-
see Verstappen, I think, try and go over the limit on it, and it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, let's see,
Like,
because
can you see Max doing what he did to Lando in Mexico last year on Oscar? Like, I could
I
see
think
him
there
doing
is-
it, but
I
I
think
could
he
see it go
could
very
do it.
different.
maybe not, because even Oscar would be calculating the same thing, right? There's a reason why. Look, there's a reason why Lando had to play defense in those scenarios.
Because he was behind on
He had
points.
to make up points. Yeah,
Yeah.
he had to make up points. And if Oscar is in that situation, he knows that Max is not his primary rival. So if Max is going for a dive bomb, Oscar will let him go.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
fine, go. his primary rival will be a Norris, and he'll try to beat him and gain as many points as he can on him. Because look, Oscar,
I just don't know
might
if
seem
Oscar.
that way.
I don't know
He's
if
also
Oscar is
very
just jumping
calculating.
out of the way there though in that situation, because it
He'll play
depends.
the
I guess
margins,
it depends
isn't
on the difference between him and Lando. Because if he's got if he keeps gaining this lead on Lando, right,
Yeah.
and let's say like Max starts coming back and Max does become his primary rival, right, and it's a situation where Max is ahead of Lando in the championship. In
Yeah.
that exact situation, I think Oscar lets them crash. Because I think Oscar, in that situation, it'd be a case of, okay, well, if both of us get taken out here, it's not just we both get taken out. You're probably disqualified from the championship because it'd be very hard to argue otherwise. You know, if
Max is at what 11 points right now. His
like
lead.
if in hindsight, Lando should have let Max crash into him there because that could have been a conversation about, okay, we need
Where?
to ban
In Mexico?
In Mexico, yeah. Because if
No,
that
they
had have
won't
actually
ban
came to
him.
I
They
don't know
won't
if that
ban
had
him.
come to contact. If he had taken Lando out, it'd be very hard to argue otherwise.
Max was at 6 penalty points at the time. So
No,
there
no,
was a
but I'm not
massive
saying a ban from a race. I mean a full on like you're out of the championship.
Disqualification.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I don't think they'll do
because
that.
that's literally throwing
They
your
could
car at
have-
someone.
That was.
Like they were
but again,
very lenient in Barcelona. They were very lenient in Barcelona.
I agree, and that's why I've been a bit pissed off with the entire media coverage because look, that was as blunt as it gets when it comes to being intentional. You see the way the race covered it. I didn't really like it. They sat on the fence as much as they could. Then I saw a few other pundits talk about it. Chris Medlin, shout out to him because he was quite blunt and he said that look, you can't do that.
No,
That's just not done. Rosberg said that. Julian Palmer said that. And I think that's the honest opinion when it comes to this. Max was quite intentionally crashing into George. There was
Yeah.
you can say that he was probably trying to line himself
He
in a
admitted
certain
it
way,
afterwards.
whatever.
he admitted it afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
because he said
And-
I need to I shouldn't have acted in that way or shouldn't have had that behavior. I can't remember the exact quote.
Yeah.
but like
it was things. No. He said things happened that shouldn't have happened. Something on those lines. It's not even I did what. It's just things happened.
if
They shouldn't
that's,
have happened.
that's as close
As
to
vague
Max
as it
admitting
gets.
it as you're gonna get because
Yeah.
like otherwise he would have
That's
said
him
no
saying
I just didn't
did it.
see him or I was moving into that line or he would have
Yeah.
said like it was the lines we were taking or something. That was as close to a yeah I rammed into him. I was pissed off.
Yeah.
As you're gonna get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that is. By the way, I'm still of the view that we cannot rule out Red Bull from the championship fight yet.
Neither can I. No.
Yeah,
That's why I
'cause
think it's going to get
there's-
interesting.
Yeah, because there's still one set of upgrades that are yet to come. At least, actually, two set of upgrades. The first will come in, I think it's Austria or Silverstone. Either of the two. They'll have a set of upgrades then. They are going to develop the car deep into the season, so there's still going to be something that will come later.
Yeah.
So Red Bull is still going all in, and the gap is, people keep talking about it being dominant or something. It's 2 to 3 tenths. That's not a
It's
dominant
not
gap.
And we
Yeah.
always go back and forth on this as well, don't we? Because like you have Suzuka or you have Jeddah, and you're like, oh, that Red Bull's right there. Then you have a Monaco, and you're like, oh, it's out of the
Slowest car ever.
championship.
Yeah.
And then we get to Barcelona where it was actually in the fight in the race at least, not in qualifying until and it wasn't even, as we said last week, it wasn't even Red Bull messed up the strategy. It was just they played a brilliant strategy that unfortunately
Yeah.
got ruined by a safety car. So, just these things happen.
By the way, you saw the was it a debrief or a media release where Horner said that Max apologized to the team?
No, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. And that's a classy move from him, because that's what
Max
he
does seem to
talks
be a
about
decent
these
guy
things.
in these things, though. Like he always
Yeah.
does. It's Yoss that's the problem, but Max himself does seem to.
Yeah. Thanks, Sophie Compton, for that.
Yes. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for balancing it out.
Yeah.
Because Yoss is an absolute prick. Yeah.
Your
Not
words,
even a
mine.
leg. Yeah. Yoss, if you're listening, you're an absolute prick.
Yeah.
Cool.
See, now that is the only reason why we won't have Max Verstappen on this podcast.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we
among
would-
others. I mean, the other problem is, this is probably why as well. We would I'm never being invited onto Sky Sports or anything like that ever.
Yeah.
Mainly because of my subscriber count, but Also, if that ever got, if I ever did get famous enough, they still wouldn't bring me on because we couldn't have a conversation where they're like, yeah, but I mean, Ferrari have a, you can blame Ferrari, but you also need to bluntly say Lewis hasn't been driving well. Or, yeah, but I mean, Max did. No, ban Max.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. There's too much sitting on the fence. There's too much worrying about the fan bases, and that's catering to the fan bases, which just to break the
There's plenty of
wall
podcasts to do that, so do it.
Yeah,
if you want
exactly.
to.
And that's the whole thing. That the reason why we created this one was primarily this: keep things unfiltered, say things as they are, not pussyfooting.
Not even say.
Precisely.
Well, I guess it's also just say things as we think without. Which
Which is
usually
right.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, my hair fell out because I'm so intelligent. That's just a fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
They
get
couldn't take
glasses
it.
like this that can see through time without being intelligent.
Yeah. Sure. Let's call
Or
it that.
genetically bad eyesight. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's stick with the other one.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Talking about Lewis Hamilton then.
Oh God.
No, it's all right.
Oh God.
Yeah, actually, it's not all right. So Lewis Hamilton this weekend he'll be racing in Canada. So his record in Canada is I think 7 wins, 6 pole positions, 10 podiums, like a fuck ton of success. Even in the ground effect era, he's been quite good in terms of getting the results.
Yeah.
But then you have
But now he's in Ferrari.
that too.
And
I
do
was just
you remember
talking
how
about
bad Ferrari were last year in Canada?
By the way, I still blame you for that jinx. If you remember at that time. Yeah,
It's because
if
they
any of you
won
guys,
Monaco. Yeah.
After
Yeah.
Monaco, I said, look, Charles is only 24 points behind Max now. It's within a race win. And like, Ferrari is going to suck this weekend. I'm like, why? The track should suit them. It's Ferrari.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, that
my exact
actually
words
happened.
were Ferrari, what they do is they have one brilliant weekend, and if they have a great
Yeah.
weekend, the next weekend's going to be absolutely atrocious. Ferrari nearly won in Monaco, which means they're going to be absolutely atrocious in Canada. No,
Well, they also
sorry,
were.
actually, they were good in
Yeah.
Barcelona as well, weren't they? So,
Leclerc was good in Barcelona.
yeah, okay. Your words, not mine. As you know, I'm a massive Lewis Hamilton fanboy. I think everyone who watches this
Yeah.
podcast knows that.
Yeah, by the way, I got called a Lewis Hamilton fan on X today. So
Yeah.
things are changing, right?
So right, what's the
For
question?
me,
What are we
so
answering?
the question is, you contrast this with Charles Leclerc, he's basically just secured a single podium in Canada. He has a poor record again, thanks to Ferrari, partly.
And
This
being a
weekend-
bad driver, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that too. This weekend, if once again we see a repeat of Barcelona or other races, do you think we are slowly reaching a point where Ferrari is starting to have buyer's remorse?
Oh, you think we're not already there? Like, come on.
Maybe not. I mean, there are a lot of people that think that it's not
That
Lewis's
it's too
fault.
soon. Yeah, it's too
Yeah,
soon
it's
to
too
judge
soon, that's
Lewis. Yeah. I mean, a 7-time world champion should definitely get more time to adjust than a rookie. Absolutely. Yeah. That's definitely true, right? I mean,
Yeah.
sure. We should throw Colapinto out after 3 races, but a 7-time world champion, he should get at least 3
course.
seasons. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. Can you tell I'm a Colapinto fan now? Anyway. Hola Argentina. Bienvenido a la podcast. Let's
Yeah, what he
see.
said.
I don't know. Like, this is the thing for me is just like, look, the excuses of adjustment are over for me. Like, we're nearly halfway through a season. It's
Yeah.
not like he's a rookie. Like, like with Kimi Antonelli, like, you can give him a certain amount of, like, he has to adjust. The other thing with the rookies is one of the hardest things to adapt to when you're coming into a new team or as a rookie is the tires. Lewis doesn't have that excuse because he's been on these tires, and like the tires are the same for everyone, so that excuse is gone.
Yeah,
And
race-based management, basically.
Yeah, if we look, and the race-based management has actually been relatively okay. Like, I mean, it's just
He was
his
atrocious.
his race-based management is fine. It's just his race pace that is.
Okay.
I mean, he can manage driving slowly brilliantly. Like, I don't know. You know what my biggest problem is? It's like, it's not even like his pace in the Ferrari, his performances in the Ferrari are one thing because the Ferrari hasn't been great, right? Leclerc extracting more from it than Hamilton is kind of to be expected. My problem with the way this is going for Ferrari with Lewis is that it's the exact same excuses and the exact same problems he had in Mercedes, which tells me it's Lewis. It's like you can blame Ferrari for a lot of the performance because the Ferrari's been bad. But when you're talking about the differences between then Leclerc and Hamilton, the reasoning behind all of it is exactly the same as the reason why he was slow against George. So therefore, it's not the team, it's not the car, it's Lewis. You know? Like, if everyone thinks you're a prick, you're probably a prick. You know? Like, which is why I know I'm a prick. Anyway, sorry, come on. Yeah.
Unless they are all Lewis Hamilton fans. Or
Verstappen fans.
Or basically any
or
driver
Gasly fans. Or Ocon fans.
Yeah.
Colapinto and Checo fans like me. No, sorry, Checo fans hate me because I am a Checo fan and I live in Mexico. But last year I went, enough is enough, it's time for him to go. And all of a sudden it was like, well, you clearly hate Checo. And I'm like, I'm wearing a fucking Checo hat. Like, what are you talking about?
It's all for show. A white man living in Mexico. Of course, you are masquerading to be a Checo
came here
fan.
for the poontang. Anyway.
Look, if it's 16th race of the season and Lewis is putting out these kind of results compared to Leclerc, there's a problem here. The problem is that what is Ferrari going to do next? Can they sit back and just hope that, okay, we are going to have a different regulations in 2026 and everything will just work out magically? Is that the approach that they're going to take?
I'm sorry, the problem here is more that, like, at the end of the day, they hired him to replace, like, in Mercedes, right? Lewis owed a lot to Mercedes, but Lewis also delivered a lot for Mercedes as well, right? So when there's a few bad seasons, you could say, right, well, look, we take the good with the bad. We had a lot of good. So there's a lot of fucking good credit there, you know, from both sides, you know, that should be allowed. Lewis doesn't have any credit at Ferrari. Ferrari owe nothing to Lewis. They've already given him $100 million. They owe nothing to Lewis. And at the end of the day,
100 million figure is maybe not correct.
Probably,
he's not
it's probably
getting that
less
much.
than that. Yeah, like, but whatever. Even if it's 50, you know, it's more than 50, I would imagine. But anyway, you can't come in on that kind of wages with that kind of background as a 7-time world champion and expect for everyone to be okay with you underperforming against Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, that's the worry, right? Because look, for me,
that's where he's been. Carlos Sainz would be accept. And if you don't think that Carlos Sainz wouldn't be performing better right now, you are just a Lewis fanboy because he clearly would, because he did. So
and the car is not so much different than the last few years in terms of being tough to drive or whatever. Again, Ferrari is maybe tough to drive or maybe whatever it is.
We can only balance against where he was against Leclerc, and Carlos was more regularly fighting Leclerc than Hamilton has been so far.
Yeah, and he beat him more regularly. That's the thing. Carlos won the race twice. Won 2 races last season, and he did that on performance, purely on performance.
And again, like we can talk.
Okay, by the way, sprint doesn't count if in case people are.
It doesn't count as it doesn't. It was a brilliant race weekend for him, but it does not count as a win.
No, it wasn't. It was
a brilliant Saturday for him, but you can't.
Then Sunday game.
Vettel won quicker. Simple as. Vettel won in Malaysia. That was the 3rd race, right? So.
Second race.
Was it the second race? I
thought
it was
the
third.
Second race. No, second race.
Okay.
Alonso won in his first race, Vettel won in his second race.
Okay.
Kimi also won his first race.
Yeah.
It's exactly because the thing is, it's who is going to take the decision. There is someone that has to step in. Look, 16 races into the season, for me, ideally, whenever the season ends in 2025, for me, an acceptable performance level from Lewis would be. Look, I didn't expect him to beat Leclerc. I had zero expectations when we talk about that. But what I expected him to do was be more consistent in terms of being very, very close to him, being a 10th or so off. Secondly, there should be weekends where he's unstoppable and Leclerc cannot do anything about him.
Yeah.
That's what I expected from him.
Honestly, I don't even need that. I just let's look at the contrast between the exact drivers who've switched here in their attitudes, right? Because Albon is beating Sainz in most measures so far, right?
Yeah.
But when we look at the difference between them, Sainz within the last 3 races has definitely gotten a lot closer to Albon. When Sainz talks about it, even it's there was a lot more to adapt to the car than I expected, and I'm doing this, and no, that's fine. Like Albon's on top of the car, and he's like, Albon did really well, and he's like, every race he's like, I'm going to adapt more. He comes in, he gets a little bit better. He's adapting himself to the car, right? Hamilton's coming in and doing exactly what he did in Mercedes, which is there must be something wrong with the car because I can't drive it. I want the setup changed on Saturday. Where he should be doing what Sainz is doing and looking at Albon, or in his case Leclerc, and going, Leclerc's coming in on Friday, give me the fastest car, I'll adapt to that. And that's the only way to work, right?
Yeah.
Why can't a 7-time world champion do that? If he can't, then I'm sorry, but like enough is enough. Like, you can keep him around if you want. You can do a Kimi Räikkönen and say, fine, we'll keep you as a marketing symbol. But let's stop talking about like Hamilton's going to win. No, like it's just not going to happen. If he keeps this attitude up, he's not going to win. And I just
even as a marketing
that's my
symbol,
biggest
do you
concern.
think? Yeah, even as a marketing symbol, do you think this kind of performance is sustainable?
No, because it's a different Ferrari that's not actually fighting for a championship either. So like, if they had Leclerc fighting for a championship, the thing is as well, like it's different when you have a Kimi Räikkönen, because Kimi Räikkönen also, it's like, Kimi, you're not adapting to the car much. I don't care.
By the way, Kimi had his day.
Kimi also did well. Yeah, for a while.
In 2016, he outqualified Vettel. If you talk about the entire season.
Yeah.
And that's where the whole worry is, because you can be an aged driver, whatever, that's fine. What were Ferrari's expectations from Lewis? And if he's not fulfilling that, they should have had.
That's the difference.
They would have
the
had
expectations are much
right?
higher. The expectation is far higher.
If you're picked as a driver who's on a let's assume it's 60-70 million, whatever it is per year, which is a massive bump from what he was getting at Mercedes, there is a certain level of expectations that come with it. And if you're not able to fulfill that, the question is what Ferrari should do next, or what Ferrari will do next, ideally. If they're looking for a replacement, who are they looking at? Because Ollie Behrman, he's good, he's fast, but he's not ready yet. At least that's the initial impression, because he's still very raw, makes too many mistakes.
What they should have done, honestly, is kept Sainz, but we're not there. Like, what annoys me about Ferrari is what they really should have done is they should have done the Red Bull method, which is we have got a driver here who is a match, as far as I'm concerned, who is a match for Verstappen. Like, everyone's talking about they want Verstappen. We fucking have a Verstappen sitting in our car right now. We should put everything behind him and just stop talking about this noise, stop talking about the elements, and just keep going until we deliver him a fucking car. But unfortunately, this is Ferrari, and that's not what Ferrari do. So realistically, they should have kept Sainz.
Valued, right?
They should have either kept Sainz, right, and said, Sainz, listen, from now on, I'm sorry, but this is Leclerc's team. So any of that nonsense that you did in Vegas, for example, is not going to cut it anymore. You can drive, and if you're just winning, that's fine. But if you try and do any shit to Leclerc anymore, we're swapping you out tomorrow. And if we're swapping you out, we'll swap you out with a Behrman, and we'll lead Behrman into being a very good number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I just,
and maybe
a
future world champion as well. Behrman is good enough.
Sure.
He might even become one.
Or, they should have poached very quickly in Antonelli, got an Italian young driver in a Ferrari car
to build up on him, by the way.
Yeah, to build up as the next thing or whatever.
Ferrari.
But this is my problem with Ferrari. It's like, okay, signing Hamilton just made no sense from the very start. It was so obviously an Elkin move, like immediately, because it's not like they were signing a Hamilton who was absolute, like Hamilton beat Russell in 2023, right? Over the course of the season. But it wasn't like a destroying Russell. Like if you look at that compared to what Russell did to Hamilton in 2024,
that was a
walkover. Like and if Hamilton was doing that to Russell, you'd be like, okay, this is a guy who's still on his peak, and we can bring him over. But it wasn't happening. So what made them? Why would you do that when you have a Max Verstappen in your car? Like, you already have him there. You didn't need to change. You could have.
I don't think Ferrari realizes that they have someone of that caliber. I think they still don't realize
They must realize it, though, right? They must. So surely Fred Vasseur does.
They do not realize when
to
put
I get the board,
tires.
But the board don't understand F1. Let's be honest here. They clearly don't, right?
Yeah.
Like, surely Fred Vasseur does. Surely the management does. Like, the actual internal team management does.
But even his hands are tied, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're bringing in a Lewis Hamilton, what can he do? You can't say that, okay, you brought in a Lewis Hamilton, I don't care, I'm putting my entire team and the entire egg basket towards Leclerc and building everything around him. Ideally, they should have done it by now. If they've not, then again, it's also a fault from Leclerc as well, because he's not that demanding. His only requirement is give me a fast car, rest everything, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
But if there are other drivers, Max demands the whole thing, that every ounce that actually any amount of effort that any engineer or anyone is putting in Red Bull, it's for Max.
Yeah.
That's how the team operates.
This is the issue, though, isn't it? You can't demand at Ferrari. Simple as. Like, even if we look at Sainz as a perfect example, Sainz did fucking demand a lot of the time. And Sainz was a very quick driver as well. Like, I know neither of us put him at like the upper tier of the, like, we put him just off those. Below. Yeah. But like, he demanded. And Ferrari basically went, cool, here's Lewis Hamilton. Goodbye. Like, annoyingly, even if Vettel won 2 championships in 2017, 2018 with Ferrari, right? I think even in that case, if Vettel started being overly demanding with Ferrari, they still think you're just a driver.
Even Michael was pushed out.
Yeah, you're just a driver.
Even he, Yeah, that's the foolishness. I don't know. Okay, just a scenario. We are 20 races into the season, and the qualifying head-to-head is
7-1.
17. No, at that time it's 17-3, and Leclerc has by then won a couple of races. Lewis hasn't been on the podium, anything. In that scenario,
he was on the podium at the sprint race, though. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they don't count. Lewis himself says that they don't count. So
no, they do count when he's winning, though.
Yeah.
The
greatest thing ever, right? The greatest win.
If only he had a qualified better.
Yeah. What do you think Ferrari does? Do you think they still stick it out that, okay, fine, so be it, let's give it another year? Or do you think panic sets in and they start ringing in changes?
It's a hard one to call. I don't think they change anything for 2026, but I think at the end of 2026 they change it. Like, I think to change things for 2026 when they're clearly not that enthusiastic about their 2026 car and engine.
No
anyway.
one is.
No.
Apparently, no one is.
And you know it's bad when the Italian media aren't like, oh, they found 5 tenths in the engine. You know, like, you know things are bad when the Italian media is like, we're not sure about this.
Yeah, it's not happening.
So I think they'll keep the drivers, because at the end of the day, the same thing stands as what I said last year. The drivers aren't Ferrari's problem. And they kind of are more of their problem than they were last year, but they're still not the biggest issue that Ferrari has. Like, I think Ferrari need to focus on getting a car. I just really, really wish, as I said, that they would just see that and go, right, we have a Max Verstappen, and we have a guy that can drive a car relatively fast, and if we give him the most dominant car with no teammate, he'll win a championship. So, you know, they've got 2 drivers who could deliver championships in the right circumstances. Just deliver the car.
Grand Prix screwed you, right?
Huh?
the Las Vegas
I
Grand
know.
Prix.
For anyone
tipped you over.
for anyone who was watching last year, literally up until that Grand Prix, I was like, yeah, but look, I mean, he's still driving well. Mercedes isn't there. Like, I was really defensive of of Lewis, and I was like, I'm really excited to see him at Ferrari and what he can do there. And that one sentence made me go, "Fuck Lewis, that guy can fuck off. I hope he retires. I'm tired of this." just that pompous standing up. Oh, if I had qualified better, I would have won the race. Well, then fucking qualify better. That literally was like my last straw.
Yeah,
like, I'm done. Yeah.
You'll get there.
Which is why I think the obvious solution is to put a number 4 on the Ferrari next year. I think that's the clear, because he'll be a brilliant number 2.
Yeah, 2 square. Yeah,
you know who I'm talking about, obviously. Number 4 on a Ferrari.
Who's number 4?
Oh, come on. Bottle starts.
Oh, okay.
Lando Norris, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He'd be the perfect number 2.
That would be great.
Yeah.
But
he's an ideal Ferrari driver.
He's already struggles mentally when he's at McLaren.
He's already broken. Like, he just...
Oh, yeah. I don't think anyone is going to... Okay, just my opinion on the whole thing. What I see happening is things will improve for Lewis to a certain extent. He'll have his weekends, I'm hoping. The first 9 races, it's worse than I expected. By the end of the season, I don't think Ferrari does anything. But as soon as 2026 starts, it would be crystal clear by the first 2 to 3 races where Ferrari stands.
Yeah.
I think by then, they'll announce that Fred Vasseur has been fired. It will be followed by 2 more announcements.
Christian Horner.
Charles Leclerc. No. First will be Charles Leclerc leaving the team. Second will be Lewis Hamilton retiring from the sport.
You think that's going to happen this year?
2026.
Okay. Yeah.
First 3 or 4 races, you'll hear all 3 announcements. Fred Vasseur gone, Leclerc gone, Lewis gone. And then Ferrari will have its thumb in its mouth and they'll have no clue what to do next. They'll probably hit rock bottom at that point. Unless Lewis thinks that he can still buy a few more years.
If Leclerc leaves, I think Lewis sticks around.
Yeah, could be.
Because...
Take over the team. Maybe build it around himself, right?
Build it into the ground, try and qualify better. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But yeah, I think you're right. If Leclerc leaves, Lewis might extend his stay at Ferrari just to see how things pan out in the next
depending on who they
years,
hire,
right?
Like, obviously. If Ferrari hire Russell.
Who they... I'm done.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
That's the bad day.
Or if they could bring back Rosberg. That would be interesting,
Yeah. Anyways, by the way, just another plug when it comes to Ferrari. Great development from their side. Apparently, their upgrades, they aren't bringing any again. They've not brought anything since China, which was the second race of the season, while almost every team has.
They've already brought the upgrade, though. He's sitting in the second seat, so it's fine.
Yeah. So what they're doing apparently is they're bringing a few things in Great Britain, the Silverstone race, and that's it. That's it for the season.
Mm-hmm.
They've already called time on it.
Yep.
And they've called time on it during a phase where Leclerc almost won the race in Monaco. And his race pace in Barcelona was stunning. I still maintain this fact that with this car, if they can improve its qualifying, let me complete the sentence. If they can improve the qualifying of this car,
if they qualify
better.
Yeah.
If they qualify better, I think Leclerc can become a serious threat to the McLarens.
Yeah.
Irrespective, because 15 races is a lot.
So what you're saying is Leclerc is a better driver than Max because he could win Can I just say a sentence real quick, by the way? I will say this. If Leclerc wins even one championship in a Ferrari, he is better than Max Verstappen, in my opinion. Because winning a championship in a Ferrari...
Yeah.
This is... Anyone who says, like, oh, Lewis is the greatest of all time. I'm sorry. Schumacher will have that until someone else wins 7 championships and they win 5 of them in a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Because winning in Ferrari is like, it's like winning with your hands tied behind your back and, Elon Musk running the fuel department. That's what it's like. So, yeah.
That's a vivid image.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Moving
moving
on.
on from this. Yeah, funnily, this was one thing actually wanted to talk about. Max Verstappen's next career path. Because, again, a lot of. Remember at the start of the season, and
Oh,
Peter
God.
actually brought this
Yeah.
up recently.
I'm just let's
What
just.
is this? Yeah, good job. So Peter actually said that if Max ends up winning the 5th title this season,
Mhm.
somehow, some way or the other, he probably is next to Michael Schumacher in terms of being the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just he would just need to win at another team before he gets that.
Named Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah. If ultimately, okay, in your view, the greatest, you also picked Michael, right? If I'm not wrong. Yeah.
I actually put, to the annoyance of many Hamilton fans, I put Schumacher, and I'm a Vettel fan, not a Max fan. Before anyone shouts at it,
Yeah.
as is probably immediately obvious, I'm not a Max fan with the amount of bashing I do. But I put Schumacher, Senna, and then Max.
Max, yeah, you had him at 3rd.
And
I had him at
The
6
reason I
or
put
7.
Senna above Max, because I know some people, annoyingly, people get annoyed at that, which I'm just like, I literally put Senna beside Max, and you're complaining to me that, just anyway. But yeah, the reason I put Senna there is because Senna did it repeatedly at different teams. Like, he won championships at different teams,
Okay.
and he just,
What?
huh?
Wait, Senna won championship at one team, McLaren.
Did he win all 3 with McLaren? Oh, he did. Yeah. Sorry, my bad. Sorry, not championships.
Good job.
Yeah, I've immediately fumbled that. What I meant to say was, what I'm going to change it to now, because I've just fumbled it. Why did I think he'd won a championship at a different team?
Ketamine.
Yeah, I'm on Musk juice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Senna was able to
Musk
jump
juice.
between teams and immediately, just be incredibly fast. He won races at different teams, though. He won at Lotus, right?
Yeah.
So,
He almost won at Tolman as well.
yeah. So I want to see Max win at various teams, because I think changing a team and shifting a team and winning at a team is a very difficult task, And I know people will be like, well, then why isn't Lewis up there? Because Lewis only won in the fastest cars.
There you go. His words and mine. Yeah.
With easy
How do you think
teammates.
his
Like midfield Button. Yep.
No, he lost to Button, by the way. So
He lost to midfield Button.
yes, he did.
So I think the number 33 will be back on the car next year.
Oh, yeah. That's how the car would look. And how do you think his career trajectory goes from here? What do you think the future lies?
The thing is,
in
he
terms
talks
of
all the
next
time about
steps?
leaving early, right? Like leaving the sport early. I think if he had if Red Bull had continued on their kind of form and he was bashing through championships, I think he leaves early. Like, I think he, but I do think if he loses this year's championship, I think it causes him to stick around longer, because I think
Like happened with Lewis.
yeah,
Because
where Lewis was
would
going to
have also
retire at the end of
fucked up after
2021. Absolutely was going to
Yeah.
retire. But I think that you need to remember all of the reason I wouldn't want to have a drink with most F1 drivers is they all have a chip on their shoulder, and they're all people
They
that
don't pay.
and they don't pay. But they need to fix, there's something inherently in them where they need to prove something. And people like that are kind of annoying to be around. So,
Unless they're Kimi Räikkönen.
yeah, they're incredible. I would probably have a drink with them because they're incredible people in many ways, but at the same time,
Yeah.
probably quite annoying.
Yeah.
Piastri would be fun because I don't think he gives a shit about anything. He's Raikkonen 2.0, basically,
Yeah.
Hey, just a quick interruption, because we have a problem here, which is that for the last few months, we've been saying that if you're offended, subscribe. We've kind of been saying that. We've been saying if you're not offended, don't subscribe. It's the same thing. I'm sure you understand English if you're watching this, so you've got it, I'm sure. But turns out 60% of you have not been offended. And I just can't sleep. I don't know about you, Casual. I just can't sleep at night knowing that we haven't offended 60% of the audience. I think we
sleep
need to
fine.
start. You sleep okay? Well, I haven't, because there are 7.5% of you are Indians that haven't been offended. For example, I think we just need to fix this. So I'm just going to take a minute of your time to just make sure that everyone watching this is thoroughly offended. So I've written down a couple of things, Casual, and you can tell me if you think this is offensive enough. So let's offend those Hindus and Indians first, quickly.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Oh, geez, no, don't
You
do
know?
that. Don't
No?
do that.
Is that too offensive? No? Okay.
You don't live in India,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm not a Hindu.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that offensive? So that is
Yes.
offensive then.
That's not only offensive, that's going to get me lynched. So please don't do that.
All right. Well, I'll think about cutting it out afterwards. Is there? By the way, 15% of you watching are British, and I'd just like to say that your sports cars now are so gay that the best model, the best selling model, is the LGB GT. No? Offensive? No?
Maybe.
And of course, the 20% of Americans here, there's no need to insult you because you'll just do what you always do, which is show up after everyone else has done the hard work. So we'll probably cut that Hindu joke out, should we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
What I'll do is...
I'm still too young to die.
Okay. So if you have been offended, please subscribe. If you haven't, then tell us how we can offend you and we'll subscribe you. And if a lot of Indian people subscribe, we'll maybe show you a behind the scenes of what that joke was at some point. Thank you, everybody. Now back to the podcast.
So you were talking about how all these guys have a chip on the shoulder, right? They have this itch that they have to scratch. So that's where you think Max is probably going to stick around for longer?
Yeah. I think if he loses this championship, he's going to have something to prove. And I think the other thing is I don't know. I feel like it'll be a situation of he'll want to stick around longer. I don't know if it'll happen at Red Bull because Red Bull at that point, I think, is struggling. There seems to be stuff going on in the background anyway at Red Bull right now. So I think he changes team. And I think that's where we'll see, what happens. Because I've said this over and over again, there's a lot of Max fans who I just genuinely don't think who were watching when Vettel was winning 2010 to 2013, who I hear a lot be like, oh yeah, well Vettel was very different. He lost to Ricardo. It's yeah, but you're just looking at the stats. You're not looking at what happened. And Vettel was, everyone talked about Vettel very similarly to how they're talking about Verstappen right now, as just a ruthless guy who will win every single race if you give him the right car, and that's Vettel did. Look at the end of 2013, that just utter dominance.
He made F1 boring.
Yeah.
He basically made F1 boring, and it's every race, he made no mistakes. 2013 is a season where, except one race in Hungary where he just got stuck behind Button and ultimately Lewis ended up winning.
Yeah.
That's the only mistake he made in the entire season.
Yep. And then, even if you look before that, I was talking to someone recently and I said, look, at the end of the day, we can talk about Verstappen, being this guy now, and he's very high in my rankings, but that can change very quickly because regulation changes and Vettel lost to Ricardo. Real quick that happened, and then went to Ferrari, and he did well at Ferrari, but that never panned out. That could very easily happen to Verstappen, and in 10 years' time, we could be going, Verstappen's probably in my top 10, but he's not a top 3 driver, because that could just that can happen. It can just change.
It could, yeah.
And it's unlikely at the minute, but it was very unlikely with Verstappen as well, or with Vettel as well. And then the same person pointed out to me, he's but Verstappen was winning before he had the dominant streak, and I'm Vettel, 2008, Italian Grand Prix in a Toro Rosso. He wasn't in F1 as long as Verstappen was running up to his first championship, but Vettel was very much seen as a Verstappen before he won the championships as well. F3 straight to F1, all these different things.
He was a 16 or 17-year-old, and he was running in, I think, podium positions in his second race in China. I think it was Japan, the wet race in Fiji, 2007.
Yeah,
and it was again error, and ultimately it took Mark Webber out with himself. In the very next race, by the way, he scored a P4 in a wet race. Again, I think it was China, if I'm not wrong. In an Alpha. Sorry, what was it called at that? Toro Rosso. That had 0 points until that point in the season. That's what Vettel was doing in the car. And
this is my whole point. It's just Verstappen now, as I've just said, is in my top 3. I think he's that good. But that can change really quickly in F1. And this is why I just think the whole thing of like, oh, well, Verstappen would beat Russell by 2/10. Like, I just don't think so. I think maybe in a few races, but not on average. Not if you were to average it out over a season. I think they'd be much closer than people think. And if you want to talk about someone who I think, if they were in the same cars, would give him could beat him in a championship, there's a Leclerc sitting right there. So, like, this is where we disagree. Like, not you and me, but like me and a lot of fans is like, like, I think Senna is up there for my own reasons, but like, I could completely switch Senna out with another driver. Like, there's arguments to be made for everyone. And I've got Vettel at like number 6 or 7 on my list, I think. And that's my favorite driver. So like, it's not like I'm just being a fanboy here either, And by the way, Hamilton's like 5th, I think, in that list. Yeah. Which annoys a lot of people.
That's actually quite funny. Anyways, that's a very, very tangential.
We've already had this entire conversation anyway, so you can go watch that. I'll put it in the link. So
the top 10 drivers.
Yeah,
just check it out.
Yeah,
and I have a feeling that what's going to happen is the 2026 season is going to come. He's not going to like the cars because I don't think anyone is going to like those cars. I really don't think.
Yeah.
The problem that is also going to happen is F1 is going to have an overtaking problem because the DRS would be gone, which is going to be a major issue. And once that happens, you're going to see what happens with the drivers. There will be a title, there will be a battle on that front. Again, everything is fine. There's one major thing. Max has always had a foot out of the door in F1. He's not like the current regulations of cars. He's winning, so he's there. But once he reaches a scenario where, look, there's one thing that is going to happen. There are two scenarios that could actually emerge in 2026. First is Mercedes emerges as the team which has the best power unit. If Mercedes has the best power unit, then the teams that you would want to be a part of is Mercedes, McLaren, and to a certain extent, Williams. And these are the 3 teams. You don't want to go there. You don't want to go there.
They're rebranding as Benetton for next year, did I not tell you that?
Yeah, as a throwback. Make it light blue.
They're bringing Mick Schumacher in.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Be fun.
Maybe do a good deed for a change.
So it's going to be Mick Schumacher and Verstappen.
Yeah, great.
1994, baby.
And you just need
option 13.
12? 13, option 13. Yeah. Exactly. And it's coming back to the whole thing. If there is a scenario where Mercedes has the dominant car, it's very, very Mercedes has a dominant power unit. You'd probably have either a McLaren or a Mercedes works team dominating.
Yeah.
And if this season, if somehow there might be a scenario that Max moves to Mercedes in 2026 as well. The way Toto talks about him right now, it seems that there's something going on. In case there isn't, whatever lineup Mercedes has for 2026, they are not going to accommodate Max in that case. McLaren has already been snubbed by Max openly because Zach approached, inquired about Max.
McLaren don't need Max anymore.
Yeah, let's call it.
I'm not saying that to I'm not saying that to wind people up or whatever, but it's like McLaren just don't need Max right now. They have Oscar, they have Norris. I know Max might be better than both of those. Like, certainly better than Norris on a lot of measures. Piastri, I think we need to see just how good he really is. I think in terms of raw pace, Verstappen is better.
Still growing.
Yeah, I think in terms of raw pace, but then like look at the difference in raw pace last year to this year in Piastri. So let's see how he does. Like, Max has been around for over a decade now
McLaren
in the sport.
Has Alex Dunn.
Yeah,
he might come. Yeah.
But like, my point is they don't actually need Max because especially if they have a dominant car, they don't need Max.
Exactly.
Yeah,
100%.
That's how
and
F1
the thing
works.
Is precisely. And the thing is, 2026 they have a dominant car. Until 2029, you can just forget about any other power unit catching up. It is not going to happen. It doesn't happen. We've seen it already. What that means is you already know which teams are going to win the championship. So whichever driver is there, they're going to take it.
Yeah.
And Max cannot be accommodated in any of them. That is one scenario. And if that scenario happens, Max is out. He's done. Well, unless and until he's winning, he's not going to waste time in a car and build a team. He's made it very, very clear. And the other scenario is...
Do you think he follows through with that though?
Yeah. I think
because I don't know. Like half of me does and half of me doesn't, because when Max says he's going to do something, normally he does do it, right? Which is fine.
Yeah.
But how many times have we seen drivers that you would have expected to just leave the sport, stick around
Lewis.
for years because it's
Lewis.
F1? Yeah.
Biggest example, Lewis.
Yeah. I thought Lewis would be gone. You know, he's
100%.
still around. I'm not
100%.
Not that isn't a dig at him. I just genuinely thought he would have retired by now.
He
because
was
talked
one of
about
the
this
more
for-
vocal people. Yeah.
Yep.
He said it quite a few times. I think he talked about Kimi when he said that I won't be. He talked about Michael when he said that I won't be racing in my 40s.
Yep.
I remember that. And
And
yeah,
I could see Max leave for a year or two and then come back.
that's
when
what
he,
I'm saying.
when he realizes
That's what I'm
that
saying.
no other championship is the same, you know, because
And that is
it's
what
a
is going
better
to happen.
sport than every other one, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, that's why the Indy 500 people are crying right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that that's a different topic. It's just that, you know, what's going to happen is...
So where does he go though?
Vic,
No, sorry,
He'll
I meant
go
when he
there-
comes back or when he joins another team.
look, when he comes back, I think he'll have options. He'll have a lot of options. If Alonso can have options, Max will also have
Oh,
options.
Max can stick around in F1 as long as he wants now. Like
Yeah,
even if he never won another championship again, even if he never won another fucking race again, this is what
Yeah,
happens in F1. Champions can stick around for as long as they want, basically. That's
Precisely.
always
I
been
mean,
the case.
there's... Exactly. And that is going to happen with him as well in terms of sticking around. But I don't think he'll have that thing in mind. Because, look, Max is what? He's 28 right now, if I'm not wrong. And if he leaves the sport in 29, let's say he's away for a couple of seasons, 29, 30. By that time, you realize a couple of things. First is F1 has the best cars in the world.
Mhm.
I mean, we can cry about it, we can crib about it, we can compare it with the yesteryears, whatever. But
And better
currently, and that's going to be my second point. It's exponentially better. Even the worst paid driver in F1 is probably getting more than an IndyCar driver.
Mhm.
That around 3 or 4 millions is what I think Joseph Newgarden gets, and that's the average pay of a name. Removing the rookies, if you remove them, everyone gets more than 3 to 4 million,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
very easy.
Like a Sonoda's
that's-
definitely on 5 or 6 at least. Like, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And once you have that, and Max is getting what? He's getting $1 million per week right now.
Yeah, it's
roughly.
60
At
million,
least.
50 million, something like that. And that's
Yeah.
that's without sponsors. That's like before the big
Precisely.
sponsor
Precisely.
deals. Yeah, so.
Now you're going to break your mic.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. And once that happens, he'll stay out for a couple of seasons and then he'll be back because everyone comes back. Kimi came back, Alonso came back, even Michael came back.
All the drivers who said they wouldn't come back, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Vettel won't, by the way. He's done.
Mhm.
He doesn't look like it, which is sad. No, which is fine, by the way. He was past it. Done.
to be fair, he stuck around long enough anyway, so it's not like he left early. You know, he was around for
He left
a
early.
long time.
He left early. No. He left early. He
Yeah.
should have stayed for one
for
more
one
season.
more season. Yeah.
That, yeah. If he had stayed that season, he probably would have won Monaco, right? Anyways, now I take it Alonso fans.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, I think that there's going to be a period where Max leaves, but he's going to come back eventually. And when he does, I think that's when things would be interesting because you'll have an entirely... It's not even going to be about a Leclerc or a Russell or a Norris or an Oscar at that time. It would be about the Antonelli, the Freddie Slaters, the Arvid Lindblads, how these guys are doing, and once a veteran steps into the ring. And that's going to be very interesting to see because that's the next generation, and it's how how ultimately they two match up.
So,
Yeah,
to
Gypsy.
bottom line, do you think he stays or moves team for 2026?
If he moves, he'll go to Aston Martin, and that is in a scenario where Aston Martin emerges as the second best option in Formula One after Mercedes.
Mm.
Or if Aston Martin is dominant. Look, if Aston Martin is dominant, I think Alonso sticks around and Lawrence would be willing to give him the time of day because Alonso has stuck around for the worst parts.
Yeah.
And if Alonso has a dominant car, he's winning 15, 16 races next season easy.
100%.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he...
Exactly.
I don't think he goes to Mercedes for next year. I just don't think that happens.
If if the move is happening, it is happening this season, or it is never happening.
Mm-hmm.
Never, as in not in the next few years.
But the point is the same as what I said last week, which is like if we get to next season and Max isn't there, and Mercedes have a dominant car and they beat McLaren and Russell wins a championship, as soon as Russell wins a championship, he's not replaced by Verstappen. That's just how Formula One works.
Over.
Over. It's the same as like if Piastri wins a championship this year, if Max knocked on the door at McLaren, they'd be like, "We don't need you. We've got a champion." Like Formula One is very short thinking like that. Like Verstappen right now is the best guy on the grid that everyone wants. If Verstappen doesn't win a championship for 2 years and there's 2 new champions, he's no longer the fresh thing. That's just how Formula One works. Just
plus,
Plus,
there's new talent coming in.
Yeah.
And that's why I said that for a Leclerc, he doesn't realize the fact that he's now the veteran on the F1 grid. He's not one of the younger drivers.
It's such a shame as well because he's such a talent. But anyway, we're moving. Let's jump on to the next thing.
Yeah. Now it's time for the questions.
Mm-hmm.
We actually put out a post on X and which were on X and on YouTube. So you take a look at X. I'll pick up stuff from YouTube.
Cool. Okay, there's only 2 on X. So do you want me to run through these real quick?
There are a few on my post as well.
Oh.
Some of the guys just put it on my post.
Oh, okay.
Let me see.
Let me just jump. I'll just put out one real quick while you're searching there. What's the chance Lewis writes off 2026 and does a shock retirement in 2025?
Asked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's saying?
What's the chance that Lewis just writes off 2026 and does a shock retirement basically this season?
No chance. I think he'll want to see how the 2026 regulations are and how Ferrari is. And if Ferrari sucks at the time, then he'll go.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think there's any chance he goes at the end of 2025 because it's like Alonso. Like if you're going to retire, why would like a good few people I heard talking about like, oh well, Alonso's just going to retire at the end of the season. It's like why would he retire at the end of the season when anything could happen next year? It's just exactly. So I just don't see it happening. I think he sticks around, And then there's a similar one I'll just read out, I guess, on this.
Yeah,
real
just
quick.
Go for it.
Prototype X says, "Do you think Prime Leclerc beats Prime Hamilton in the same car?"
Oh, okay.
Well, Prime Leclerc is Leclerc. Like there's no
right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
I
Prime
rate
Lewis
2018. Yeah, I think we both think that's his peak season, right?
2017, that was the time when everything was working perfectly.
Yeah. I think Leclerc beats him. Do I need to give reasoning or?
Yeah, you do.
I think Leclerc beats him because Leclerc beats him. I think Hamilton is a very calculated and an incredibly talented race driver, like as in the races, right? Incredibly good. He's a good qualifier. He's a very good qualifier. He's not the best on the grid. He got beaten a third of the time by Bottas. There's just like
was out qualified by Rosberg in 14.
Yeah, Russell as well.
Yeah, Russell smashed him.
He's definitely not one of the top qualifiers, and I know a lot of people are sitting there going, but he has the most poles of all time. That's easy to do when you've got the best car 200 fucking races in a row, right? So just go away. So I think Leclerc destroys him in qualifying because Leclerc is like even now people still say Leclerc is the fastest over one lap when a Verstappen exists. Yeah. I think we all agree on that. So I think Leclerc beats him in qualifying most of the time, and I don't think Leclerc is that bad in races. So
depends. If we're talking about the scenario, let's take a scenario of both of them in a Mercedes during their dominant years, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a scenario which, look, for me, the questions that I have of Leclerc is how is he going to perform when the pressure is at the highest?
Yeah.
We haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
That is one area. The second area is how well can he do in the wet weather? Because I used to rate that. I used to think that Leclerc is not that good, but I've seen a few races now. It does appear that it's more a case of Ferrari being shite than him not ultimately be having the pace. So there are question marks when it comes to Leclerc in terms of how. Look, we've seen it with Lando. before 2024, we would have said that Lando is going to do well. He's going to probably win a championship. But what we've seen in 2024 and 2025 is when the pressure is high, Lando tends not to deliver.
Yeah.
And in a championship battle, is Leclerc capable enough of performing under pressure? Because
Yes.
pressure will be there with a prime Lewis, right?
Yeah.
That's you saying yes, he would be. I think he
Start
might
of
be, but-
2022. Also,
yeah, that's 5 races. Right?
also, yeah, but
Just 5
he's
races.
also been driving with Ferrari and he hasn't killed anyone. So
that we know of.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I suppose he could. He's got literally the royal family of Monaco who would back him up.
Yeah.
Dig the grave for him. Yeah, if there's one thing we know about royal families, they're happy to dig graves. Yeah,
Yeah.
like when they
yeah,
killed
I-
Diana.
I'm not even. Yeah, cut this bit out as well.
Nope. I am entitled to a British passport, therefore I am allowed to make fun of the British royal family. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, but this is slander. Anyways,
it's not
good job,
slander;
do
it's
it.
fact.
Okay, your words. I have no clue. I have no information
Listen,
about Diana. Who is
fine.
Diana? I don't know her.
Yeah. I didn't say which Diana.
Yeah.
And if anyone
Could be
asks
anyone.
where I got these opinions, I overheard them in a Pizza Express in Woking a few years back.
Yeah. Moving on. You're going with Leclerc, right? I'm going with Lewis. I think for now I'll keep
You
Lewis.
want the honest answer from me? I think Lewis probably wins it, but yeah, I think
You're going to rile
Leclerc.
people
I think
up.
Leclerc has the pace, and I think it would be incredibly close. I think it really depends, isn't it? Because like this is the problem with this prime argument. Like, are we talking about a situation where Leclerc at the moment is in his prime, but he hasn't been under that pressure of a title championship, whereas
We don't
Hamilton
know
at
if
that
Leclerc is at his prime.
We also
We
don't,
know
yeah,
that he's
yeah.
improving.
Yeah.
He's going on this trajectory and he's only 28. And if you're talking about 2018, that is Lewis at 33, 34.
And Leclerc at that point, or Hamilton at that point, had also learned his lessons from losing to Rosberg.
Yeah.
He acted very
It's not
different.
a fresh championship.
Exactly.
It's not a fresh championship.
It's so hard to. But yeah, if we were saying like,
Yeah.
if we change prime to like at their absolute peaks, I think Leclerc wins. I think Leclerc's a better.
Maybe.
I think Leclerc's a better racing driver. I think Hamilton just got very, very lucky with some career decisions. Moving on, what's the next
Next
question?
question. Yeah. Wait. Let me. Fucking hell. You know what's the problem? We asked this question a long time. I put this post out a long time back.
Right,
so
okay.
I really have
I
to.
couldn't. Are you looking on YouTube or on your?
No. On X, the rest of the questions.
Oh.
There are a few more.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't find that.
Okay, here they are. Here they are. Prototype X is done. Now there is one more question on my. Yeah. Okay, so it's from Sai. I think we've talked about it. What is
That
the
one's from
front-
June 8th. But that's from ages ago. He asked, or did he
Which one?
ask this again?
The front limited.
We
what
already
is-
answered this. I think he's just posted
Yeah,
it
yeah,
again
yeah.
to wind us up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, Sai. Okay. Now let's move to the YouTube ones. Okay. So the first is from Flaky.
Mm-hmm.
The flexiving changes seem to have slowed down the cars. On average, the cars this year were faster than last year by about 1 second. But in Barcelona, there was no such speed improvement. There was actually speed decrease if you check, because I'll get to the reasons why. During the race, it seemed to me that the cars could follow each other just that bit more, and the defending car on the main straight looked a bit more vulnerable. So could the change maybe just slightly improve racing? The defending car has a bit more drag on the straights, which the attacking car too, but not as much because of slipstream. Following the car could be okay. Anyway, make the cars lighter, make the pit limit 100 kph, bring back refueling, nuke Pirelli's headquarters, stone MBS, and the FIA person to death. Love the podcast. I agree with the last few words. Love the podcast.
I agree with all of those changes. Particularly the stoning. I mean, Although I think a stoning is just a bit too much. I think that's a bit, culturally inappropriate. I think they should have paparazzi chase him through the tunnel in France instead. I mean, to be fair, the FIA headquarters is quite close to that tunnel. They're both in Paris.
I know.
Maybe they could get a similar driver.
Let's talk about the flexi wing. Let's talk about the flexi wing. Jesus Christ. Okay, so talking about the flexi wing, yes, there was a decrease in pace. It was around 3 to 4 tenths compared to last season, but that was not necessarily because of. What should we say?
It's too difficult to say whether it's the flexi wing because it's only been one race, realistically.
No, it's not. The decrease
there was
is
upgrades
not
brought
necessarily.
and stuff as well, and
the tires were different.
Yeah.
The temperatures were much higher this time around. If temperatures reach beyond a certain threshold, if they go beyond that, it tends to make the track slower, and that's kind of what happened.
Yeah. It's too hard to say whether it's just the flexi wing because there's just so much else going on. So it's just like, to put it in like my background as a data analyst and computer engineer, there's too many variables here for me to narrow out one. It's just too many. So,
and when it comes to the overtaking bit, not much. It was primarily track specific,
and also the fact that
tire degradation was much higher here.
That, and also remember as well, as far as I remember, given the strategy that Red Bull went with too, they cut off a load of downforce to give him much more straight line speed to overtake, and that was also what hindered Tsunoda. I think because Tsunoda stuck with not only one less upgrade, but also I think much more downforce in the corners, which then hurt him on the straights. So it's really, there's way too much going on to make any informed decision on the front wing, other than we know a lot of the teams at least did try or did run their wings at the tracks before, and we also know that Sauber clearly now is basically the top team.
No, Sauber is the 10th fastest team. Nico Hülkenberg.
So what we've learned in this podcast is that the actual running order of the drivers, the best drivers, it's Leclerc, Piastri, Hülkenberg, then Verstappen.
Yeah,
I think that's accurate. Yeah,
roughly.
Yeah.
Next up, Footy Ball 8551. Okay, he writes one. Okay, it seems like he wrote the first question and then he just forgot that he had to write a few more.
Okay.
So the first question: Who is a driver who never got a car that finished higher than P15, but was world champion material? Whoa.
That's
so basically saying... No, Bianchi.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
right?
If the P15 thing wasn't there, I would say Hülkenberg. But, that's clearly he finished P4 a lot.
A lot. Yeah. Far too many times. Jules Bianchi.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I think we'd have to go back otherwise because most drivers have finished above P15 at some point.
Yeah. So, I mean, what he means by P15 is a back marker.
Yeah, I assume it's not like an actual, like, we're talking P16 and below. Like, that's a very specific question. So, Hülkenberg, Bianchi, who else?
I doubt there was anyone else.
Maybe. Who else has been championship material but never even, like, I'm trying to think, never even got a win or a podium, basically.
I would have wanted to see Jev race in a better car and maybe have a bigger F1 career.
Scott Speed.
John-Eric Verne. No. John-Eric Verne.
Scott Speed. Danny Kvyat.
He got punched, right?
Poor Danny Kvyat.
Well, he had podiums. Yeah, poor. Oh, God. I mean, if there is anyone who has done a lot of
lost his
racing
Russians. Seat and Kelly Piquet. Poor thing.
Yeah.
I would give me Kelly Piquet over the Toro Rosso as well. Just like that.
Kelly Piquet. Good job. Yeah. Next up. Yara Days. Good job, man. Keep simpler names next time around.
Okay. Poor guy. Leave him alone. Maybe that's his real name. Being such a dick for
Yara Days.
Yeah.
Good job.
Maybe he's from Yaristan.
Could be. 3 questions. Okay, the first is, do you think Yuki ruined his career with the Red Bull change? Would he have been faster than Hadjar if he stayed? I know he was slower during quali at China, but fast in race. But China was also one of the weakest tracks based on last year's. So it's kind of an iffy one for me. Let's first go through this one.
Did he ruin his career? No. Honestly, I think he was, like, at the end of this season, he kind of had very limited options anyway, I think, other than going to like a backmarker team in the future. Because realistically, like, the only front running team that he had any chance of going to was Aston Martin if they dropped Stroll and Honda went their way. I don't think it was ever going to happen. Yeah, I don't think it was ever going to happen anyway. Because Honda isn't like at Red Bull where they're pumping money in, so they didn't actually have any say in Aston Martin. So realistically, if he left AlphaTauri at the end of this season and didn't go to Red Bull, he was realistically going like down the grid to like a Haas or something anyway, if he kept a seat full stop. So no, I think even after this Red Bull seat, like worst case he leaves the sport, which could have happened anyway. Best case, he picks things up in Red Bull or he goes to another team. Like, he could get an Alpine drive or something still, you know, like there's stranger things that happened.
The way Flavio's running through drivers, he might need one.
No, Colapinto will be there forever.
Yeah, I was talking about Gasly.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he might be next. Okay, so would he have been faster than Hadjar if he'd stayed? I think, he would have been. Because he's talking also about the qualifying in China. Yuki made an error on his quali lap. So also, that's why he was out qualified.
I think the thing to keep in mind here as well, though, is even if, like, Hadjar is clearly a very fast qualifier, like, clearly.
Yeah. He's overall good.
He's very good, but I think in the races, just on pure experience, I think Yuki would have beat him. Yuki's a very quick driver as well. Like, it's just that Red Bull has such a narrow fucking performance window that is set up around Max. Like, so you just, it's going to be tough.
Also, look, I think there's also an element of Isaac looking better because Liam is a bit compromised mentally because he's gone through a lot.
Yeah.
He was basically in cloud nine when the season began.
And Horner didn't listen to me.
We warned of it.
I went back and forth on this quite a bit because I remember I said last year, after that Mexico incident, I don't think he has the mental toughness.
I remember we had a big chat about Lawson and Yuki.
And I said I don't think Horner's going to want to put him in because of the mental toughness, and I think that's why they haven't put Yuki in. So why would they put him in? And then I went to, but it would be fun if he turned out to be a Ricardo, and fell apart very quick. He became the wrong era of Ricardo though. He became McLaren Ricardo instead of 2014 Ricardo. Yeah.
Exactly. Next up. Is Behrman just fast or is Ocon struggling because he gets on top of the car? Because when he gets on top of the car, he gets it to Q3 or he exits Q1.
Ocon is a driver of 3/3.
I don't think there has been an in-between so far this season. Yeah, go for it.
Ocon's a driver of thirds. I've talked about this quite a bit.
Driver of thirds. What does that mean?
He's shit for a third of the races, good for a third of the races, and absolutely spectacular for a third of the races. This has been the way since he joined.
Yeah, so I'll give a more better answer. No, it's in that case.
So you're going to give a more insightful but less accurate answer, is what you're saying.
No, first is I think Behrman ends up being in a race-winning car at some point in his career. He's still raw.
He's 18 as well, right? He's very, very young.
He's 20.
Is he 20?
Yeah.
But still, very young.
He's bloody... Yeah, of course. He's bloody quick. Probably as quick as Kimi when on his day. That's how fast he is. The problem with him is the erratic nature. That's what hurts him. Ocon... the problem is not with Ocon or Behrman at this stage. The irregularity is because Haas has a very weird car, which there are weekends where it is brilliant, and then there are weekends where it's just nowhere.
No, that's Ocon.
The main issue for
it's
now.
Not the car.
Yeah, but both are struggling on that. That
But
front.
Ocon does it every season, so
he doesn't.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, next.
Look it up.
I did. Yeah, that's why I know.
You clearly didn't then. You were looking at the wrong data.
By the way, for everyone, I do a detailed driver rating for every driver.
Yeah, but you're an Ocon fan.
Every race.
So it's clearly wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Go on, move on.
Next up, can we next up, can we see more Hulkenberg performances in the future races? It was said that Hulkenberg did make a mistake in Spanish GP qualifying, which gave him the softs to win. He didn't win. He didn't even get a podium. But yeah,
if
P5 is a win.
Hulkenberg had have qualified better, he could have won the race.
Could we see something like Austria 2024 this year? We got to see Hulkenberg make Perez dance to his tune that race. Yeah, I remember what he's talking about. But Sauber will have races where it does well. It's probably going to be races which are medium to fast speed sections. The tracks that have that, that's where it is going to do well. The slow speed sections is not going to be to their...
It's just not a very aerodynamically efficient car, which means in those slow sections it's going to be terrible, yeah.
Plus also we need to wait because there's something that's going on at Sauber, which is they are pushing a lot in terms of development. They're putting a lot of resources there because they have to. They don't know. This team has not built a car for the last 2 seasons.
They're doing what Ferrari should be doing, which is like clearly they don't have everything in order and they should be stress testing things now because it's only going to get worse next year. And Mattia and Jonathan Wheatley are on the same page of basically saying, no, we can't wait for the Audi stickers to come on. We need to make sure we're ready right now. And I think it's the right decision because they're so far off. So
exactly. And by the way, one thing about Ocon, I think he made one major mistake. He should have gone to Audi. When the option was there, he should have gone to Audi instead of Haas. Again, when he went there, Andreas Seidel was the boss and the whole team was a complete shit show. Yeah. With Jonathan Wheatley there, things have improved.
This is the second time now that Seidel's left and the team's improved.
True.
So I think what Ferrari should do is hire Seidel for 6 months
for
and then fire
for
him.
6 months. Fire.
And then the team will win a championship.
Yeah. Maybe that's what they need.
That's
by the way, one trick
goal,
question. One question, one trivia. The average pit stop times of all these teams, right? They do a calculation and everything. The ranking that is there.
I know what you're going to say.
What's the top 5?
What's
the top 5?
Wheatley's massively improved Sauber already, hasn't he? And Red Bull's dropped.
He has.
Yeah.
He has. Yeah. Okay. Give your top 5. What do you think the order would be? The first is going to surprise you as well.
The first is Ferrari.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Second, Mercedes.
Second is McLaren.
Oh, okay. So then third is Mercedes.
Third is Sauber.
Okay, I thought Sauber was fourth, and I thought Red Bull was fifth.
Fourth is Mercedes. Red Bull is fifth.
Okay.
And remember last season where the Sauber pit stops lasted
about 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
From there they've literally made this improvement. And by the way, you know how I actually came to know about it? Jonathan Wheatley himself tweeted this thing and he specifically highlighted 2 things. Where Sauber was.
Yeah.
And where Red Bull
He's the
was.
pit stop master. Yeah.
Great job. What a great hiring by Red Bull.
Frankly, they need to fire Horner then. Bring Wheatley in.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the Max Verstappen fans are talking about.
Yeah.
Next up, VR 4234H9K.
This should be good.
Yeah. No, questions are nice. Is dirty air the main reason why McLaren guys aren't able to go wheel to wheel during races with pretty much similar quali pace? Or is it just team orders, Max, and luck to be blamed so far this season?
Skill issue.
Yeah, I think we touched on it a bit. The earlier segment was pretty much on the whole thing. It seems that one of the major issues here is that it's not worked out in that sense. Most of the times Lando ends up having a bad start and until he makes his way to the front, it's gone. The whole thing is done.
Let us know if you'd like us to start selling t-shirts with like Lando in a bottle or something on it.
Yeah, by the way, do let us know.
Yeah.
There's also one I think we should do, which is in Jimmy Consonant Sweet.
Yes. Yeah.
That's something that we have to do. Yeah. Okay, second bit. Any truth to Max to Merc in 2026 rumors? Ralf Schumacher has been fueling the rumors quite a bit after Toto's calm reaction to... Yeah, by the way, you saw Toto's reaction to Max Verstappen's crash?
No.
You should have seen it because everyone is furious at him.
Why? What
Because
did he do?
the way he talked. First of all, he just kept sitting on the ledge. He didn't talk about the crash. He said, "Oh, he was told to give up position. We thought he made a mistake. I was not aware that he was told to give up the position." And throughout the whole thing, he didn't criticize Max even once. It was almost as if he was Max's team principal instead of being George's team principal.
Yeah.
And it was so obvious. Then the second thing that someone pointed out was George was very muted when the whole thing happened. Usually, he's someone who'll just take the knife and just twist it a bit, right? He was very
At the start, he was
calm.
quite sarcastic about it as well, though.
Yeah.
He was like, maybe he didn't see
He was
me.
talking about eye racing and everything.
Yeah.
Something on those lines. That's what maybe there is a case that they are talking, or maybe just Toto is still trying to convince him to come to Mercedes.
Yeah.
By the way, don't listen to Ralf Schumacher, because I think
Ralph
what he's going to
Schumacher's
do is
wrong most of the time.
yeah. I think what he's going to do is what he decided in 2024 is that every time he opens his mouth, he's going to say that Max is leaving Red Bull, and maybe 4 years down the line he will be correct when Max eventually leaves.
Yeah.
And then he'll say, "I was correct all along."
Yeah.
I think that's what we are going to see with him.
Yeah.
Because he's went on and on and on about Max leaving Red Bull, and that has not happened.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't.
Okay,
we'll see how this goes. I just don't think he goes to Mercedes for next year. I also think. The more I think about it, the more I think it's a bad idea for Toto as well. Like, I think he has a very, 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 very capable driver right now without any of the headache, and by headache I mean Jos Verstappen, and he also has a driver that he believes in for the future. So, like, you have to drop one of those. Why would you drop the very capable one for another very capable one that just comes with more expense and a headache?
You're basically dropping both of them if you think about it.
Yeah, because you can't. Like, surely Toto knows that Antonelli won't be able to be, like, given the same preference that he is right now if Toto or if Max comes in. So I don't know. And also, I think Max comes in with a clause that says if they don't perform in 2026, he's gone. So you're basically giving up up Russell for potentially a 1-year contract, and Russell's not going to come back if you do that. Like,
you know what was the funny thing? George was actually questioned about it, that there have been talks about Max being approached by Toto. He had a very weird take, because the way he put it across was, okay, fine, every team principal will try to sign Max Verstappen, so I would be fine with having Max as my teammate at Mercedes. So the way he portrayed it was that if Max is coming, I'm not the one who's leaving. Kimi is leaving.
Which, like,
And I
if
think
you're
which
talking
is
on pure performance,
delusion.
but if you're talking on pure performance, it's obviously the case. Like,
Yeah, but we're
it's
not talking about
no,
pure performance.
I know, but that's it. Just doesn't
Seems
make.
he doesn't know.
But it just doesn't make sense to me either. That if you're Toto, like I know it's Max Verstappen. I get that. I get, like, this is what happens in Formula One. But it also seems to me like the upside doesn't outweigh the downside at all.
Let's do one thing. Everyone that is watching, drop a comment. If you had to pick, would you drop George Russell for Max Verstappen? Say yes or no.
Can I just, and anyone who's interested, like, you can say yes or no, but also anyone who's interested in, like, a further thing on this, what I'd like the opinion on, because this is my thinking on it. I completely understand that if you're an F1 boss, you probably just sign Max, right? I get that. Yeah. So you can do your yes or no for that, right? Do you think the question I have as well is, if you were being actually pragmatic about it, though, like if you were genuinely thinking about this in terms of, let's take all the information in and really think this out for a minute, the only upside, like the upside to signing Max are twofold. One, you hurt one of your biggest competitors. Like, you basically take them off the fucking table because they're going to have to rebuild. That's the biggest upside as far as I can see. The second one is
his biggest rival.
Yeah.
Horner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The second upside is that Max will be a little bit quicker than Russell. But not to the point where if you've got a dominant car next year, Russell wins that championship anyway. So the downside to me just seems like massive of removing Russell, bringing in Yoss, potentially getting into a situation where you can't really support Kimi in the way you want to, and you could lose Max if you don't deliver the car after one season and cause yourself a PR nightmare, all for a little bit quicker. I don't know.
There's another thing. There's another factor, by the way. Max keeps talking about leaving Formula One.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just...
He built a dynasty of 7-8 years with Lewis because Lewis was willing to stick around for 7-8 years. Could he even think about doing something similar with Max? The answer is no.
Yeah.
With Kimi, he can.
Yes. So that's the smart thing, is to keep Kimi, but then do you throw out Russell for what is potentially one season?
It's not going to be throwing out Russell for one season. Look, if Max comes in the team, Kimi is going... He's a brilliant talent, but I think Max destroys Kimi to such a level that he affects him mentally.
But even, like, it's not even that he destroys Kimi. You're not going to... I think my camera is fucking up for some reason as well. But you're not going to be able to... I think it's fine now. You're not going to be able to support Kimi. Because when Max's team comes in, you can't even give Kimi level pegging. Yoss will not allow that. And the problem is, like, Max will come... This is kind of a similar situation to, like, the silly signing of Hamilton, where there's no performance clauses on Hamilton. Hamilton basically said, yeah, give me everything I want.
Do we know that?
I'm pretty sure
there are no performance clauses?
I'm pretty sure of it. It's a 2+1 though. I think the only performance clause is after the second year they can't pick him up again. Like, it's his, it's
okay.
It's on both sides for the third year, but for the first 2 years,
you're signing a 7-time world champion. You're not going to put.
Well, Hamilton's not going to leave and go like, oh, by the way, if you underperform Leclerc, like, I'm not signing that. Like, there's no way he's signing that.
Yeah.
So when he's got everything he wants given to him, hand over fist, at Mercedes.
Precisely.
So I just think, like, there's going to be a clause in there where it's like, Verstappen has to be given preferential treatment over Kimi at all times.
It's not even it's not even about Max getting preferential
not in those
treatment.
Words, but it's going to be...
Yeah. In some ways. Look, he's going to come with a very simple attitude. The attitude is, we are here to win the championship. And it's as simple as that. And once that happens, it starts slowly. First, okay, the pit stops, I have to be given priority, irrespective of where we are. Then it comes to race positions. Then it comes to, when you're moving team orders and stuff like that. And most importantly...
And then you've got Yoss talking to every journalist that'll listen about every single little thing that they do wrong.
Oh, Jesus, yes. Yeah.
Like, if Toto thought that Rosberg Hamilton was a nightmare, like, this is next level. Like, this will be...
Yeah.
Because it's not just two drivers fighting. It's, this loudmouth outside going to every press member,
and he still
photoshopping
does,
fingers into WhatsApp and stuff. Like, there's just, there's... and emailing it, allegedly.
Oh boy. Toto wouldn't want that, right?
No. I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's exciting. Part of me hopes it happens. I just think, like, from a pragmatic point of view, as much as Verstappen, like, he is the best driver on the grid right now, no doubt. I feel like the upside just doesn't outweigh all the downsides to this for Toto. And it seems to me like I really wanted to have, intercourse with that girl back in 2016 and she's available now, so I'll go all in on this. And it's like, the downside to this seems like, seems like it's not going to be the same girl you were looking for a few years ago, man. Maybe calm down a bit, like, relax a bit here.
Yeah, it's been a decade.
Yeah.
Move on.
She's put on some weight and her family have become arseholes.
Okay, let's
move on.
Another bit
Is there another question?
Yeah.
I'm not cutting that
exactly.
out. I'll cut the last bit out. Yeah.
That has to be.
And now everyone in comments, what was the last bit?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
For that, you have to join our Patreon, which we
haven't
might
set
start
up
in
yet.
the future. Yeah. Anyways, Dane Lua. First question. Why didn't Red Bull let Max Verstappen stay out with used soft in the last 6 laps during safety car? Okay. because at best, Max would defend
Mm-hmm.
with all his might and won that race against the duo. Okay.
Basically, at best,
why?
there's a chance he could have overtaken them at the safety car. At worst, he wouldn't have lost the position to Leclerc.
Yeah.
I think, in hindsight, it was probably a better decision. But
Was it? His tires were knackered.
yeah,
They were gone.
Yeah,
and the ease with which the overtakes were done.
in hindsight, it would have been a better decision, I think, maybe. But the other thing is, you also don't know what everyone else is doing at that point. So you've got to jump onto something new because, like, yeah, I don't know, like this. And also,
There's
as
also
you
this
said
thing,
last week, right, was that the hard was actually starting to get better by the end. So if they had have been a couple more laps out on those, and
or if Max
hadn't have crashed,
rage.
if Max was a better
There was
driver,
there.
frankly, it just, you know.
If Max had kept calm, he could have still finished P3.
Yeah.
And there's a bigger thing, right? Because they did not expect the safety car to be that long.
Yeah.
It lasted for
This is the
around
thing. It's easy
6,
for us
7
to
laps.
sit here now in hindsight and go, well, there was
Yeah.
only a few laps left. He could have hung it out. It's like, yeah, but none of those things were known when that safety car was coming out. So you make the best
Exactly.
like he had no other new tires, and they weren't sure how many laps were left after the safety car. So
Yeah. Look, imagine if there were 10 laps. If I think the safety car was brought out when there were 13 laps left. If there were 10 laps there and we saw how easily the tires just fell off the cliff for both George and Charles, Max could have still finished P3.
Yeah.
And maybe challenged the
Norris
McLaren duo as well when their tires
Yeah.
fall off. Right. It could have
it's
happened.
just it's
So,
look, they just did what they could at the time, and it just didn't work out. And they had
Sometimes-
already played their hand with that strategy before the safety car. They were just screwed either way. Max could have easily held out for a P3, but he just lost his mind instead. So realistically,
the funny
on
thing
Max.
is, the reactions throughout the race. This is mega strategy by Red Bull. This is brilliant. Everything is going on, and by the end of it, because of that thing, Red Bull has had an all-time stinker.
Mm-hmm.
And like, do you even stand on your word? Because if you can't separate luck from quite brilliant strategic acumen, then you really don't know anything.
They were nowhere near
Anyways.
McLaren. They rolled the dice on a brilliant strategy call, and it just didn't work. It went against them.
Yeah.
Just there's nothing you can do with
If
that.
Max had even just a tenth more in the car per lap, he probably could have at least beaten Norris, if not both.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Finally,
Yeah.
let's move. This is more on casual F1 fans. It's for me. You said there is no generational talent between Alonso, Hamilton, and Vettel. Then why did you rank Hamilton 4th in your GOAT list while Alonso and Vettel are only 9th and 10th? Okay, so generational talent, I'll define it again. It means of that particular generation being the best out of everyone. So now, while I'm saying that, I'm putting Hamilton as 4th and Vettel and Alonso as 9th and 10th. The reason behind it is not only how they drove, but also their careers. Look, it's as clear as day that Alonso made blunders when picking teams. Vettel made blunders
When picking Ferrari.
while idealizing Michael by picking Ferrari, basically. Lewis pretty much hit the jackpot with Mercedes, and that defines their careers. As simple as that.
Yeah.
That's why he's in 4th. If I have to pick in terms of drivings, just simply on the basis of that, I think that it's very hard to choose between
Put
all
it
three
simply,
of
like
them.
if you put Vettel in the car alongside Hamilton, Vettel's
He's an
winning a
8-time
few of those
champion.
championships at least, if not beating.
All of them.
If you put Alonso
Yeah.
in that car,
Okay, yeah.
yeah. Although
Or Mercedes might not even be.
didn't Hamilton absolutely destroyed Alonso in his rookie season, according to all Hamilton
Yeah, I
fans.
mean, yeah.
It was an absolute
What was
destruction.
the gap between the two, right?
Same points, wasn't it? Was it done on countback?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolute destruction.
Next up, this is what Jason. That's a question for you. What do you think Norris needs to do to win the championship this year if Max has more moments like this race?
Drive better. I mean,
Yeah.
like genuinely,
Don't fuck
he
up.
has the car. He has the actual pace to be able to drive. He just needs to drive that car better. And that's it. Like, the problem is he's just too in his head all the time. Like, that's just it because...
Stop being a mental midget.
Yes,
That's all.
100%. I have to go in 5. Have we got many more questions, or should we jump on to predictions?
2 more, then we're done.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 more and then we're done. This is for casual F1 fan. If you put Russell and Leclerc in equal machinery like a Red Bull, who would win? Leclerc would win.
If you
For
put
now,
who
at least.
in equal machinery?
Russell versus Leclerc.
Leclerc. Again,
Yeah.
I think it wouldn't be by much. I don't think it would be like a dominant display, but I think Leclerc would win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this is for Jason. What do you think Max and Hamilton? What do you think Max and Hamilton, since they are still racing? What terrible needs to happen to both of them for you to put Vettel third in your goal F1 driver list?
Hamilton needs to just continue doing what he's doing for another 3 years. That'll put him down to about 12. I'll put him out in my top 10 as clearly one of the worst drivers ever. Who just got very lucky with dominant cars and midfield drivers like Button and Rosberg. For Max, see, the problem is like Vettel can't do anything to push himself up. But yeah, for Max, Max would need to go to
Max-
Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, with that we're done.
Well, quick
now
predictions for
let's talk
Canada. Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So predictions. What do you expect? Just go for it. It might rain as well. There is rain forecast,
Next year they're putting it in May, by the way, so which means it's going to be snowy.
which is stupid, by the way. It's snowing at the time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, go for it.
I think Red Bull will be a lot closer, but I still think this is going to be a McLaren win. You don't think so?
Okay. I think McLaren would be the faster car, but I think Mercedes could play a role
because it's going to be
still
cooler.
Yeah.
So in terms
Bottom
of
line is Ferrari is going to suck.
yeah.
So
In terms of top 3, that's a good point about Mercedes. Actually, let me think. I'm going to go Russell, Piastri, Tsunoda.
Oh. Yeah, you lost me at Tsunoda.
I lost me at Russell. And anyway,
Yeah.
with Hamilton
okay.
P15.
Okay. You're being generous today.
With Hamilton P15 finishing on intermediates in the dry. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Trauma. Last season we had the same, isn't it?
They went on hards in the
with
wets
Leclerc.
and then intermediates in the dry in the same fucking race. Ridiculous.
And they then did this again.
It's the
in
perfect.
Silverstone.
It's the perfect team for Lando Norris.
Yeah. Actually, it's the worst team. He won't survive it. Anyways, my predictions. Then we cap it off. I think
Here's Lando.
Oscar wins. Yeah.
This is Lando from now
Okay.
on. Yeah. Go on anyway. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Oscar wins. Okay, 2 predictions. One I want, one that is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oscar, Lando, George is what I think
Will happen.
is going to happen.
Okay. And what you want?
Yeah, what I want is
Leclerc and everyone else
George,
DNFing.
Max, Leclerc. Yeah. No, I want George, Max, Leclerc, so that and the McLaren double DNF. Both of them crash into each other somehow.
Surely you want.
so that everything spices
Do you not
up.
want Leclerc, George, Max? Or that might make more sense because then that way.
Oh yeah. Yes. Leclerc, George, Max. Because then the gap would be even closer.
Yeah.
Let's do
Yeah.
that. And all of it entirely on performance.
Yes.
Like
And
Yeah.
and then you want also Norris and Oscar to get race bans for the race afterwards as well, so that it's completely.
we'll need that. Yeah. We'll need that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So on that note, we're going to wrap it up. Guys, we will be
And girls.
recording the
Thank you for watching.
and girls. Yeah. We will be recording the reaction to the the Canadian Grand Prix. After the race, we'll have a couple of hours in between
Do
that.
we?
So
What time is the race at for you?
it's 12 for me, 12:30 a.m.
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
So it will end at 2 a.m. It's probably 1:30 p.m. for you in that case.
It's around this
Yeah.
time.
So we'll probably
Yeah.
So we'll record. We'll see. We'll
To
set
see
the
how
time in
dead
that
you
case.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be pretty
Yeah.
right.
Cool.
Even then, I'll put out the post for questions for you guys. probably just before the race on both Twitter as well as on
Yeah.
YouTube. If you have anything, just shoot right
Yeah,
away.
perfect.
On that note,
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Sorry for the delay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, buddy. Bye.
We'll see you soon.